2 times for the life insurance right here, and the 6 times for the 6 times for the pool of long-term care money. That's where the average is coming from. As they're younger, it's a greater leverage. I think I'm going to go really quick through this section. I want to make sure there's nothing I want to highlight for you that you might not know about through here. Think about with MoneyGuard, they're always on standard. They can get preferred with us. That's a differentiator. And I think privileged care coordination, I don't think people talk about that enough for TLC. It's a huge differentiator as well. And the rest of it, I think we've pretty much covered pretty good. I think this slide just highlights all 3 of these. This is interesting. 47% of our policies that were issued in 2013 were issued preferred. So almost 50% were issued preferred. 75% were issued with a couples discount, and then 87% were issued with preferred and or a couples discount. So that's a huge difference, and we need to be talking about it. You're getting standard with MoneyGuard, and they're getting the highest cost of insurance charges. Real quick, this is just a comparison, and the competitor here is MoneyGuard. If you look at the premium load, our load is 9%, MoneyGuard's 25%. I have heard that load for our product is going to go up when they do a product change. I haven't heard the exact amount, but that will be going up. Here's the big difference right here. Our current rate's 3.85, theirs is 2%, and our minimum rate is 3%, and theirs is 2%. And then I told you earlier, residual death benefit, we pay 10%, and they pay 5% of the specified amount, or $10,000, whichever is less. I've hit on the privileged care, and I've told you about waiving all the charges while on claim. I think that's really important, because one of our stats, isn't it, what, a third of people that go on claim come off of claim? Same thing for TLC, right? So while they're on claim, we're not taking that pool of money down anymore, and they can come off. They've got a larger pool of money left when they come off the claim.
Are we still crediting the interest rate though?
While they're on claim.
While they're on claim, okay.
The full underwriting, to your full underwriting question, one of the things that I talked about a lot with full underwriting is if someone goes into MoneyGuard, let's say, and they're taking requip, and they disclose they're taking requip, do you think that's going to be a decline or not? Anybody know what requip is generally used for, right? It could be used for dementia. It could be used for restless leg syndrome, right? So if they disclose they're taking requip, what's MoneyGuard going to do?
We're going to decline it, and then we're going to appeal it, and then we're going to get an APS after we fight for weeks and get a
No, John, seriously, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen?
You know, this is your seriously, what's going to happen?
But it'll be a fight. How do you feel about it?
So for us, because we are getting that APS and we are doing that full underwriting up front, we're going to find out why the client's taking requip, and then they can go on through the underwriting process. Whereas with MoneyGuard, it very well could be a decline, or it could be a long tail process to get that positive answer that they're looking for. So in the end, they'll be still going through the same process with MoneyGuard that they are with us, and they're going to get 35% more benefits with us than they are with MoneyGuard.
Do they also decline still for handicap placards?
Decline.
So these people,
They're very set in their ways, and it's the way, and it's just what it is. But they did come up and say, if you surrendered it now, because we were coming across a lot of people that had them for their parents or whatever, but it was owned by them and whatever. But that brings up a whole nother deal. If you're lying about that, what else are you lying about? But if you turn the thing in, I guess they would look past that.
I think you just said yes to me. No. Good answer.
But all the agents ended up with handicap.
And does Genworth have that same question?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
The handicap placards, the signs that people have?
I'm not
That's a
aware.
knockout for
Yeah,
MoneyGuard.
no, I'm not aware. Is that a knockout question? Yeah, no, I'm not aware. I have a sheet that actually gives you the knockout questions for TLC that I recommend every broker use when they're dealing with TLC. Just to say up front, if they have to answer yes to any of these, then don't bother doing the application. I mean, it's not helping anybody to do it that time, but I don't believe that's.
And one last point for me is, I was at Citizens Bank for a little while, and we were doing about $13 million of MoneyGuard, but there was no Genworth agents.
See, yeah, and that's what I found. A lot of banks have MoneyGuard, but they're not promoting TLC. They don't know there's a better product out there because they're selling MoneyGuard. That's their platform. So yeah, we are actually approaching some banks. We're working with some of our brokerage customers. We've got one in the Pacific Northwest. Actually, we're working with a credit union there to get into their platform. So
Is that an opportunity for one of our agents to go to a bank? Is that conflict of interest?
I think it depends on the bank.
I think it depends on the bank. So this is a small regional bank. It's not a, you know.
If there's a community bank or something, I'd say step in there maybe and show them
I would think it wouldn't be a conflict, because if
But
our GAs can do it, I don't know why.
The tellers would tell the financial advisors, everybody whose CD is coming due in the next 30 days.
100%. That's why I gotta get to my sales idea. Okay, hold on. Oh, we do have a 10% lower decline rates because of the full underwriting, because we are asking these questions. So 10% more get placed than they would against a product that's not being fully underwritten. This just gives you an example of, because we're doing full underwriting, what this client would have gotten. A 67-year-old, coronary artery disease. He had one block at less than 20% occlusion, no diabetes, no surgery required. The outcome is a standard approval, whereas against the competition, this would have been a decline. See, this is more technical. I really like this. I use this a lot when I get up against a money guard case and they're asking questions around the guarantees. So this is the part that I know you can't see that. I'm going to skip that one for now because it's kind of small, and that one as well. This one's the one that I like. This one actually gives you changes, TLC assumption changes. And I don't know if you've read the contract, but in the contract, just making sure I point this out, it says in the contract, for the first 5 years, you're guaranteed no increase, and for the first 5 years. Then after that, the most we can ever increase is 50% when you're talking about changes to the TLC, to the long-term care charges. So that's built into the contract. So if you get concerns around what's going to happen with rates with TLC, you've got that built into the contract. But all you're going to see here is, okay, if we make no change to the product, a female age 60 preferred couple, what happens here? She's going to go, there's never going to be any change to the product. And they're going to show you if they make changes to just one part of it. So they change long-term care only, she'll go out to age 98. If they change the interest rate only, she'll go out to age 95. And what I'm talking about here is if they go to max charges for long-term care, what'll happen? If they go to the guaranteed minimum interest rate, what'll happen? If they change life-only charges, what'll happen? She'll go to age 90. And if they were to change everything, and what they're saying here is, if at day one we go to max charges for the life, long-term care, and we drop the interest rate to the minimums, this product will take you out to age 85 before you'll hit the guaranteed rider will take place at that point, where will be lower paying benefits than MoneyGuard. Does that make sense to you guys? We had a lot of questions on this, so we wanted to give people a really clear chart to show them, okay, let's say we change this, and what happens if we change this? What happens if we change everything? So it's very clear that they'll see what happens. And
But
then
you can't raise rates on a TLC policy, can you?
not for the first 5 years. They cannot raise rates for the first 5 years, and after that, the max for the life of the policy is 50%.
Even though it's a single premium?
Correct.
The COI comes,
What you gotta understand though,
but
it's
not
not
a
like you
pay
got
more.
another $50,000 as opposed to what 50%. Only the monthly
Internal charges.
Internal charges, like $38 if you've got the 4-year
Correct.
extended benefit rider is the only thing that increases.
That's correct.
It's a very small amount.
Yeah, but the reason we wanted to lay it out there was because we kept getting pushback so hard about, well, MoneyGuard's guaranteed, they're guaranteed, they're
Can we get
guaranteed.
this presentation?
Yes, sir. You may.
Charlie?
Is it something?
Mark, you bring up a good question and also a good point with this slide. The conversations that I've had with some producers is where they get hung up in the sale on TLC is on the illustration.
Yeah.
Right? Where it starts talking about this after 5 years and this 50%, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's important.
It's a positive thing. It
Right.
really is. And when you first get that question, when we first started promoting TLC, I would get that question. I'm like, I'm reading this. I'm like, am I reading this right? I mean, I think I'm understanding. So I would go to the contract folks and Doug Virgil and I said, I want to make sure I'm telling these customers correctly what this is saying. He said, yeah, that's exactly what it's saying.
And that's the point. I think just think about giving them the language like we talked about. Like we give them the language from everything else is to what's the language around when the client gets that deer in the headlights look as they see that in the illustration. That we have the language there.
And if they have concerns, I mean, if they knew someone, they had a long-term care policy, the rates went up, you could talk to them about that with this. And the rates going up on this would be substantially less of an impact than it would on a traditional long-term care policy. It's just a different type of policy. This is a similar slide really quickly. I know I'm running out of time, but it just shows you if you were to make a 25% change or a 50% change or a 75% change to the cost of insurance charges to the guaranteed interest rate. That's what they're showing you there, or the current assumption rate. And real quick, I'm going to get to my sales concept.
You can slow down a little bit, Carla. We started a little bit late.
Okay.
Let me go back to that guarantee for a minute. I want to make sure I understand correctly. So when you're saying that if we were to have these rate increases, whether it's for the mortality cost of the life insurance or the morbidity cost of long-term care, it just means that we're gonna go to that guaranteed benefit. The policy's not gonna
That's
implode.
correct. That's correct.
Like old universal life.
That's
would.
correct.
Okay.
What happens is, we're gonna be like MoneyGuard at that point.
Gotcha.
Really, I mean, really, that's what happens. At that point, we're gonna be at the same footing at MoneyGuard. MoneyGuard's coming out the door with the highest rates on the cost of insurance and the lowest interest rate. Whereas we're coming out with the best interest rate and the
Gotcha.
lowest charges that we can. So this is showing you what would happen to the policy if we change those things. The guarantee's gonna, this is the age the guarantee would kick in, is what
Gotcha.
happens.
Yeah.
See,
That's
the
all.
pot of
Go
money
away at
doesn't
that
change, so if the pot of money, if you put in 100,000 and it was 600,000, and all of this happens, it's still 600,000 at the
No,
end?
no,
No.
so what happens is the guarantee kicks in, so we would drop, so in that earlier slide I showed you where we were 35% better than MoneyGuard, and then at age 86, we were only 1% better. So you're dropping
So you're
down to
dropping-
the guarantees.
Gotcha. To be similar to whatever their
Exactly.
was.
You're similar, our best, basically, you're similar to their best, basically, at that point in time. This is an interesting slide. We've never had a rate change when it comes to TLC, so this just shows you the interest rates that we launched with the product. So it just gives you the history. We got a lot of questions on this, obviously, so we wanted to make sure everybody knew, and it just shows you the history of the rates and where they're at with the old products as well as the new products. So this is just a summary. Doug, like I said, Doug Burkle created this presentation, and he wanted to really hit really hard. I don't know if you know Doug. Doug actually worked at Lincoln and was involved in developing the MoneyGuard product, and he came over here 10 plus years ago to develop the TLC product. So he was just saying, okay, what are the advantages to this product over MoneyGuard? These are the things you want to make sure you're aware of. These are the things you want to make sure you're talking about to your brokers and to them, to their clients, to know the differences.
If we do lower interest rates on an enforced policy, can they be done any time, or can they only be done on anniversary day?
You know, that's a good question. I haven't. In fact, I would assume it's only on anniversary date. If we could lower rates.
Anniversary date, although we've never changed interest rates on an enforced policy to this point.
Yeah.
But I would assume, I haven't had that question, so I don't want to tell you wrong. I've never had that question, but I would assume
But
it would
it
have to
could
be
go,
on the
it could go
anniversary.
up too. If interest rate, we enter an environment where the rates are going up, correct?
That's true, theoretically, yeah. I don't know if I've seen anything.
Hypothetically.
Yeah. I think about an annuity.
That ain't gonna happen.
You never know.
Is the only advantage to MoneyGuard the simplified underwriting?
It's a quick, what I've heard from the field, like the brokers I'm trying to get to sell this product, even though I tell them the benefits are better, the commissions are better, I can just drop a ticket, I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to think, I don't have to ask any questions, it's quick and easy and I get paid. They're saying it's a faster process and it's less hassle, basically.
Was there 8 questions, John, on the MoneyGuard app?
No, but it's, see, there's two sides, it's like, I believe, my true belief is that the underwriting that Lincoln does is more thorough than anything Genworth does. Why? Because they spend 2 hours with your client on the phone and in person, and they tell them, we can coach our clients, answer yes, no, nothing more, nothing less, get in, get out, that's it. When they spend 2 hours with your client, they say, how you doing today? You know, a little stressed. Oh, really? What's been going on? And you wouldn't believe the stuff they come back. That client tells them everything on earth during that time. And I believe many times there's more to it than the pyramid that they do. So your question is, do they ask questions? No, not really. It's very, very quick on the front end. It's really just a ticket. But they need to be coached as to what's going on because they're going to get a call from someone coming out to do a long, long interview. So that's where the questions start coming in. On the back end, it's kind of a reverse. Life insurance, we do everything on the front end, and then we deliver the policy. Everything with MoneyGuard is kind of the reverse. You do very little on the front end and do most of it on the back end.
But it is called simplified underwriting. Is that deceiving then?
It's simplified underwriting that we don't take they don't take a pyramid and they don't look at an APS. They do a pharmacy check and a 2-hour interview, and I'm telling you, those two things together many times are better than an APS or a pyramid. They tell you everything on earth.
So John, are you saying they underwrite on the backside? Or do they underwrite if there's let's say there's a dead is dead, but let's say there was a long-term care claim, would they then underwrite before they pay the
Find out there's
back?
fraud involved.
Here's an interesting
Post-claim underwriting.
We were up in Minnesota last week.
Hold on a second.
We were up in Minnesota last week in Hallett Financial. We were up in Minnesota in Hallett Financial, that fair. And the gentleman stood in the back, because he can write both contracts, and said, this month alone, month today, 5 of his brokers submitted a MoneyGuard app that was denied and was written with TLC.
Yeah.
The knockout questions knocked them out of that, but once we underwrote and found out the real story, we actually got them through us.
Yeah.
Then good.
That'd be true, yeah.
Which is pretty exciting to hear from a third party.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Well, and the thing is too, we do have the quick request platform. We're trying to compete with that drop ticket model. So we're trying to give them something, especially the financial advisors that are selling money, are trying to give them something they're more familiar with, more comfortable with, to drop a ticket versus, and what happens with that is the same way, I'm assuming, the way I understand it anyway, I don't wanna say it incorrectly, but they're gonna set up a phone interview to complete the application with the client at a later date, is what's gonna happen with that. So to your point, you're gonna have a long conversation going through that full application, but with somebody over the phone.
In your experience, is it the underwriting and the opportunity to become preferred and have spousal discounts? That's huge.
It's huge, it really is. I mean, even, but like